Hey guys, Austin here, and in today's video, I wanted to talk about Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid, and more specifically, their next contracts, what they're going to look like, how we can project them, and if they're even going to re-sign with Edmonton. So to answer the question of if they're even going to re-sign with the Oilers, there's always going to be speculation about either of them walking. There's a lot of fan bases that would obviously love Connor McDavid to sign with them. You have LA Kings fans being like, hey, it'll be like Gretzky. He'll come over to LA. You have Leafs fans being like, hey, it's going to be like Tavares. Like McDavid will sign in Toronto. In my personal opinion, and you can call me a homer, you can call me maybe even too positive as of a fan, I do think Draisaitl and McDavid will both stay in Edmonton on their next contracts, but we need to kind of figure out what those could look like. And to do that, there's more math involved. I know how much some of us love the math, but I will bring us to another screen just so that we can get a bit of a visual here, all right? So, will Draisaitl and McDavid re-sign with Edmonton? Draisaitl can begin his contract negotiations this summer coming up after the season, and McDavid can begin his contract negotiations next summer in 2025. Now, McDavid and Draisaitl will both be 30 years old when their new deals kick in, so that'll be 25-26 for Leon and 26-27 for Connor. So, will they go max term plus max dollar? Well, let's take a look at the salary cap projections first. So for 24-25, so next season, the salary cap is projected to be $87.5 million, or an increase of $4 million from this season. In 25-26, that's when Draisaitl's new contract would kick in. It is projected to go up $4.5 million, so to $92 million. And then in 26-27, that would be when McDavid's new contract would kick in. This is my own estimate. I'm on the conservative end of increasing by $4 million. So we'll say $96 million would be the salary cap projection for teams in 26-27. So do I think they'll go max term and max dollar? In my opinion, I don't think either of them will go max term or dollar. And I actually think Draisaitl will do a similar contract structure as Austin Matthews. Matthews actually re-signed for $4 million instead of $8 million. And I think the reason why he did that is because the salary cap projection going up so much after those 4 years, he can get himself another nice raise. And I wouldn't be surprised if Draisaitl did something like that instead of signing for the full 8 years. But same with McDavid. I wouldn't be surprised if he also did the 3 to 4 year deal. However, if Leon goes max term for 8 years, I could then see McDavid also doing 8 years, because I feel like whatever one does, the other will follow suit. They seem to be locked together as bros and teammates and leaders on this team. So if Leon does the 4 year deal, Connor probably does the same. If Leon does the 8 year deal, McDavid probably does the same. As for their salary, so to determine that, we need to determine what the max salary cap will be for Draisaitl and McDavid in their respective contract years. So for Draisaitl, when his new deal kicks in, the salary cap is projected to be $92 million. The max salary right now is 20% of the cap. So 20% of $92 million would be $18.4 million per year. Draisaitl will not be getting a almost $10 million a year raise. He will not sign for $18.4 million per year. It's just an unrealistic expectation. I don't think he's going to come close to that. But Draisaitl's initial contract was worth 11.3% of the cap back in 17-18. Now, if he signed the exact same cap percentage deal, that would give him $10.4 million per year on his new contract, or a raise of $1.9 million per season. I do think Draisaitl is going to ask for a bigger raise than $1.9 million, though. I'd project him to ask for roughly $13 to $15 million per year on his next contract, or about 12 to 14% of the salary cap projections for the 25-26 season. If Draisaitl signs on the high end, so let's say $15 million per year, that would give him a raise of $6.5 million a year from his first contract. I think that would be reasonable considering his production and personal accolades, but let's say he goes somewhere in the middle and takes $14 million a year instead of $15. So let's say he takes a raise of $5.5 million per year, and his new contract looks like $14 million a year. Now, we're going to have to remember this because we're moving on to Connor McDavid now, but I'm going to get to Draisaitl and McDavid. I'm going to combine things, more numbers coming up. Just bear with me here. So with McDavid, if we take the projected total salary cap increase by the time McDavid's deal kicks in, so the salary cap is projected to go up $12.5 million by 2026-2027. And if we subtract Draisaitl's projected raise of $5.5 million a year, That would leave us with $7 million in additional cap space for a McDavid raise, assuming McDavid wanted the full amount that he could get based on the salary cap going up $12.5 million by the time his deal kicks in. So McDavid's current cap hit is $12.5 million a year. A $7 million a year raise would make his next cap hit $19.5 million per season. So to project the cap hit percentage, we'd take his 19.5 million, divide by 96 million. That's what the salary cap would be when his contract kicks in. And that would actually come in above the 20% max salary allowed. So assuming the highest cap hit can max out at 20%, McDavid's new deal, if he took maximum dollar amount, would have to be $19.2 million per year. That would be the max that he could take, assuming the salary cap is $96 million when his new deal kicks in, and assuming that 20% of the cap is the max allowed when that happens. So Connor McDavid's current cap hit of $12.5 million a year in 2018-19, that's when his contract kicked in initially, that was worth 15.7% of the total salary cap. If he were to sign the same cap percentage deal for the 2026-27 season, that would give him a new salary of $15.072 million per year, or a raise of about $2.572 million per year based on his last contract. Now, I do think McDavid lands somewhere in the $16 to $18 million a year range on his new deal. So that would be 16.6 to 18.75% of the cap in 26-27. I'm going to say he lands somewhere in the middle. I'm going to say he signs with for $17 million a year. So that would be about 17.7% of the cap in 2026-27. So combined, how does this compare to both Leon and McDavid's salary cap hits when McDavid signed his deal in 2018, 1 year after Draisaitl signed his contract in 2017? So back in 2018, Draisaitl's $8.5 million cap hit plus McDavid's $12.5 million cap hit is a $21 million per season on the cap. In the 18-19 season, when McDavid's deal kicked in, $21 million against a salary cap of $79.5 million was 26.4% of the salary cap combined for both players. Now, if we project Draisaitl's new salary cap hit of $14 million a year and McDavid's new cap hit of $17 million a year, that would be $31 million total. With a projected NHL salary cap of $96 million, when Connor McDavid's deal starts, the two combined would make 32.2% of the total salary cap in 2026-27, or an increase of 5.8% compared to their combined cap hits in 2018 and 19. We can also assume that the salary cap will continue to rise every year throughout their contract, as there hopefully will be no global pandemic to deal with and nothing to keep the salary cap flat for 3 years, like from 2020 to 2022. Now, obviously, there's a lot of numbers here, and if you're kind of confused about everything, you can pause the video, you can rewind, you can read what I've written down. I try and explain things as simple as possible, but when I'm projecting this sort of thing, it can come across as probably overwhelming, but that's just kind of what I'm projecting. I think McDavid and Draisaitl both re-sign. I think Draisaitl signs for probably around $14 million a year, and I think McDavid signs for around $17 million a year, and then I do think the salary cap continues to go up. I also believe both of them will sign for that 4-year range instead of 8-year range, but again, I think a lot of this hinges on what Draisaitl chooses to do. If Draisaitl goes 8 years, McDavid probably goes 8 years, and then that's a whole other thing. If they're signing long-term, who knows what the numbers would look like, but this was just kind of my own personal projections. What do you guys think about McDavid and Draisaitl? What do you think about their salary cap projections? Do you think they are going to re-sign at Edmonton? Do you think that they're going to want out? Do you think Draisaitl or McDavid want out, assuming Edmonton doesn't win a cup in their little window that they're in right now? Or do you think they're going to stick it out, and even if they don't have a cup by the time their new contracts kick in, do you think they're going to want to stay? I'm very curious what your guys' thoughts are. There's going to be a lot of discourse on this over the next couple of years. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you liked the video and you liked this kind of breakdown, just make sure you hit that like button. And if you really liked it, make sure you hit subscribe. And of course, I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys.